working?
I see the... Oh, it says waiting for TGT. So that's good. Starting at 2:50 with a live chat. You said start streaming, right?
Yes.
Now, did you say start streaming on YouTube itself or the OBS?
On OBS.
Oh, here we go. We're getting something.
There we go.
Looks like we are started.
We're done. We're started.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, well, let's get this thing started.
Hold on, I need to hit record. I need to hit record too.
Working? Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay
Okay,
there.
so I'm recording now. Okay, so go for it.
Okay, guys. All right. Hi, my name is Hillel, and joining me is Rick. I'm a Jew, and he's a Christian. And we decided to get together and actually do a study of, we'll start off with Genesis, see where it goes from there. And today we're going to start in Genesis 1:1. Rick, you want to say hi to everybody who's watching us?
Hello!
So, actually...
let me share this out too.
Sure. While you're doing that, I'll just explain the way this came about was that I don't know, a couple of years ago I had been doing these things called chapters, and I was studying with a couple who I met here in Israel. They came to Israel, and they were a couple of Christians, and they wanted to learn together. And so for off and on for about a year, we learned together, and then they went and did their own thing. I think they moved to Scotland, and so somehow I was on Twitter and I saw a message from Rick. Rick was looking for one of the videos that I had done, and I couldn't find it. my old YouTube had disappeared. They had all those videos on it somehow. So I just said, hey, let's just do this again, and I'll start all over, and we'll just go through and we'll just study at our own pace, and we'll start with Genesis. So I created a new station. I'm calling it the Genesis Teacher, and that's my YouTube account here, or TGT for short. So Rick is here. We're going to learn some Torah. We'll start in Genesis 1:1, and the funny thing is that my Torah is not here with me because I've been running all over the place. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. That's a nice big Torah.
I've been moving computers and books and everything around, and I've got my Rambam over here with me, but I don't have my book of Genesis. Now, it's called Genesis in English, but in Hebrew it's called Bereshit. And that's where we're starting off with. You probably know this as Bereshit being in the beginning. That's the way it starts. So what we do, we have the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Right. I keep wanting to call them the Hebrew names, so forgive me. I had to think about the English names for a second there.
Well, that's all right. What are the Hebrew names?
Well, for Genesis, it's called Bereshit, and that's because the very first word in the Torah is Bereshit. Exodus is called Shemot.
Which is in the beginning?
In the beginning. Exodus is called Shemot because the first word there is Shemot. And then Leviticus is Vayikra, and he called. And then in Numbers is called Bamidbar, in the desert. And then Deuteronomy is Devarim, which is like words. And those are the Hebrew names for those books, if you've ever wondered. And the way we go ahead.
I must admit, I've never thought that they would have different names.
Well, I think those are. I think those English names are probably Greek or something.
Yeah.
Like Genesis is, I think, either Greek or Latin. But anyway, The way we do it is we read the first 5 books of the Bible over a course of a year, every year. At Simchat Torah, which is at the end of Sukkot, which you call Feast of Booths.
Yeah, and the Jewish New Year is different than the regular, or the Jewish year is different than the regular year.
Yeah, we actually have 4 New Years.
You go, 4 New Years?
4 New
But
Years.
more what I mean is, like we go from January, February,
Sure.
December, blah, 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 December. Your months are different, as I recall, different names. I can't remember them. But they start at a different point in what would be the regular calendar year for most people.
We're actually in the year 5782 right now. And we've been there since about September. And you guys are
Okay, so you
5782 correlates with 2022. So our year is already started. We're already a few months into the new year.
Yeah, so you guys start the new year approximately every September?
Yeah, it's around. It moves around in that area, and that's because we are a lunar solar calendar for us.
Yeah.
So it moves around on the calendar just a little bit.
I'm not sure how true this is. I've heard that every 7 years, I think it is, you guys add an extra month because of
we have Adar
time
2.
or-
Yeah, we have Adar. It's to make up the difference. So most years we have Adar 1. And then the years when we'll add a month on, and that's Adar 2. And so...
Any relation to R2?
What's that?
Any relation to R2?
No.
R2-D2?
There's no relation whatsoever at all, but it's a good thought.
I know. I'm bad. Sorry for the sci-fi jokes.
That's okay. That's all
We're
right.
geeks here. We got to throw some geekness in, right?
I just wasn't expecting. I was like, R2 what? Oh, R2D2. Okay. Well, the least you could do is if you're gonna throw those in there is not give the abbreviated. If you just started talking about C3 or 3PO, that I would get, I think. But anyway,
Okay.
so the whole thing is that over the course of a year we go through and we read the entire Torah, and every Simchat Torah every year we start over again in Genesis. We've just finished Genesis. We're in Exodus now. And what we do is we call the Parshas, and those are the sections of the Torah we read each week. We usually call them from one of the first words in the text. So this week's Parsha is called Vayera, and he saw, and he appeared, and it refers to, I believe, Moshe. I'm sorry, God is talking to Moses. So
At the burning bush?
no, this is post the burning bush. He's already done the burning bush, I believe. I just read this today. That's another thing. We have to read the Torah every day. We're supposed to read the Torah every day, and so I did read it. I read it with my kids and my wife, and now I'm drawing a blank on it for some reason. But yeah, it's Vayera. I said
I know that feeling. I know that feeling.
and he appeared. Yeah, he appeared to Moshe. So anyway, we're not keeping up with the Torah Parsha. We're starting in Genesis, get an idea of what's going on, and so Genesis 1:1 is where we're going to start. And I want to introduce this to everybody and let you know that it's a very I think that when you read it in English, it's a deceptively simple text, which causes a lot of confusion for
agree with
people.
that.
Huh? You agree with that? You said?
Just hearing I would just say, with listening to your one before, I can definitely probably agree that it's deceptively, maybe not deceptively, but it's a lot more simplistic. And I wouldn't say that people were trying to be deceptive. So
Well, I
they're
say
just trying to get the.
no. What I'm saying by deceptively simplistic, I think that if you're unaware that this is being translated from another language, and if you're not reading in the original language, you'll think that what it says in English is the whole story. And that's what I mean by
Yeah.
deceptive. I think that translators generally are trying to make it readable for the widest audience. But in doing that, you lose a lot of the nuance. And so when you study Hebrew, you get all that nuance.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of stuff I've even heard with the New Testament. If you don't know the culture, it takes away a lot. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're probably not going to know what I mean. There's a spot where Jesus says about going the extra mile,
Okay.
and I normally thought of it. Your buddy asked you to go an extra mile, but I found out in that day, biblical days, in Jesus' day, that Roman officers could make you go a mile out of your way carrying their stuff.
Huh.
And Jesus says, instead of going the 1 mile that you're required to by law, go 2 miles to show love.
Okay.
Go the extra mile. So, once you put it into that cultural context, it means something completely different.
Well, Jesus got his best material from us, right?
Well, of course, he was Jewish.
Well, okay. So back to the Genesis. So I want to give
I'm
you.
sure if I get off track like that too.
That's right.
I interrupt you.
No, that's all right. I mean, it's a helpful demonstration of what I was trying to say. But going back to Genesis being deceptively simple, the reason I wanted to emphasize that was because it's actually a very big, deep mystery. And most of the commentaries I've read where the rabbis try to explain what's going on in Genesis, a lot of them seem to agree that it's not really something that human beings, no matter how intelligent they are going to be able to fully explore it. And a lot of the interpretation, you have a mystical interpretation, you have sort of hints and things like that. One thing I want to show you, for example, if you look at the first 3 words, Bereshit bara Elokim, and those are the first 3 words in Hebrew of the text, which means in the beginning God created. If you take the last letter of each of those, you have a Tav, Aleph, and Mem. If you rearrange those letters, you have the word Emet, which means truth in Hebrew. And in Proverbs, it says your word begins in truth. And so here we have, right, in Mishlei, or the Proverbs, we have them going back and recalling to our attention that the very beginning of the Torah is based in truth, because it actually spells out emet. So these are things that you won't be aware of. There's also an interesting story, and I'll tell this. It's one of my favorite things. When you get to the section, I think it's like Genesis 37, where Joseph is giving over the details of his dreams. And he says, he's going to his father, and he says, look, I had this dream about the sun and the moon and the stars, and they're bowing down to me or whatever. And Jacob, kind of says angrily, "What, am I and your mother going to bow down before you?" Right? So, what's wrong with that statement? What's wrong with Jacob's question? What is Jacob?